Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. Super glad you're here today. I'm going to just sort of revisit pendulums. They are an interesting divination tool. They're fun to use. Some of them are absolutely beautiful. And, maybe there's a few tricks of the trade that I'll share with you. So if you're really interested and you're, relatively new to my channel, go into the playlist for this channel because there have been several videos already done about pendulums, and one for sure was done with um, White Dragon. So they're there. Go back and double check, and I'm going to get it together. Paul and I are going to be putting on another couple of videos as we move sort of, I think, maybe towards the fall. But anyway, so here we go. So first thing is when you get your pendulum, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that it feels like really comfortable in your hand. And that just energetically it feels right. Very often when you're programming a pendulum, or before you program, actually, what you want to do is you want to clean it, right? So 24 hours in the sunshine or the moon is always my favorite. You can literally wash a pendulum with water and clear the energy. You can blow on it and with a concentrated, focused intention of clearing all energy out. So you're going to want to clear it. Once that's done, very, very often people will just carry these things with them, put them in a pocket, something like that, and carry them with them for several days, almost as a way of you and the pendulum really connecting. Now, you can choose to do that after it's programmed, but I kind of recommend it. I mean, I don't think you need to be, crazy obsessive about it. But I think certainly spend a little bit of time literally on your person in your energy is a good thing. I think it makes for a cleaner and clearer connection. So different pendulums are going to move in different ways, right? So one of the things you're going to want to determine is if this pendulum has sort of how it moves, what its rhythm is. So the easiest way for me that I've ever done it is just simply a pendulum, show me yes. And you'll see it will move into its motion for yes. Pendulum, show me no. Okay, so it is going in a circle clockwise. You might want to ask pendulum, do you have a motion for maybe? You see that? It moved into a counterclockwise rotation, so that would be a maybe. Now, one of the things that I like to do is have a signal that tells me that I have connected to clear and pure energy that is going to give me the most accurate answer for the moment of time that I'm asking him. And so for me, all of my pendulums, when they are ready to communicate clearly, they go side to side. There we go. For those of you, sorry about that. I've got some contractors working outside, just dealing with my doors, frankly. So there's that. Now, you can, if you wish, once you understand that motion, you can literally change it. You can say, no pendulum. You may be going round and round for yes, but I need you to go back and forth for yes. And so you would literally take the pendulum and say, this is the motion for yes. This is the motion for yes. This is the motion for no. You would want to turn it, say this is now your motion for no, right? And you sort of set the motion in. And with intention, it's as simple as that. The stuff just works on intention. Now, one of the reasons that you may want to do that is for this reason. Come on down, I want to show you something. So maybe I'll show it to you this way. That makes more sense, maybe. Should have thought this through a bit better. Okay, there we go. So you can use your pendulum and a chart. You can have a yes, no, maybe, running across the page. You can make these kind of half circles, and you can do, numbers, 1 through 7, 1 through 31, 1 through 12 for the month. You can use it for names. So if you have kind of a core group of people around you when you're needing help or assistance with something, you can definitely say, put names around and say who would be able or most likely or whatever. So you can get questions answered that way. And of course, numbers, months, all kinds of stuff. Now, I caution you when you're doing something with names that you ensure that you do not cross boundaries in terms of, trying to get information that perhaps is not yours to have. There are blocks in place that can prevent it, but people with a fair bit of energy can sometimes just move right through those kind of blocks. And you want to be very, very careful about intruding on somebody's privacy. So, now there's lots of ways of holding a pendulum. I tend to just sort of hold mine with my 2 fingers, okay? Paul showed us his technique, and I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to get this because my fingers work like crap, but he created sort of like this, right? And he got the pendulum rest between the 2 thumbs and had motion that way. You cannot get a pendulum to move if you're not attached to it, okay? I've tried. It doesn't work. You're going to get slight vibration from your pendulum, and in fact, the shorter the pendulum, the more sort of obvious that motion becomes, right? The longer the pendulum, your hand is going to look virtually like still. The reason for that is because you've got energy flowing through your body, and that energy is receiving the information energetically, and that is traveling to your hand, okay? And it's not that your hand moves it because you know to move it a certain way. It's because the energies are now connected, the energies of your hand. The pendulum allows it to answer. So when I was thinking about doing this video, I realized that probably one of the things that I've never spoken to you about is this. So people say that the pendulum will, the answers come from your higher consciousness. They come from, the universe. I have to tell you, I use my pendulums to connect with angelic and divine beings. So when I'm talking to my pendulum, I'm actually reaching out with intention to speak to my angels, my energy beings, perhaps an archangel, perhaps, an ascended master that I'm turning to for specific information or insight. So again, these things are absolutely doable. And that's, make sure that when you're doing this kind of thing that you always start by clearing the pendulum, and that I like to create sort of a prayer of intention, particularly when it's being initially created. So let's take this beautiful one. My amethyst one is lovely. Let's take this one. And so let's set the intention that, first of all, you can set the intention to confirm the direction you want things to move in. But beyond that, you're going to want to set the intention that every time you pick up the pendulum, you are doing work in and of the light, that you are seeking the highest truth available in this moment of time, given current circumstances. You are protected from all lower energies. You are not opening a portal that will allow negative energies to come to you. The information you access can be received from all dimensions of time and space. There's just a multitude of protections that you may want to put into place. And I encourage you to think carefully about it and sort of write it out. Tweak it a little bit. Make sure that it really covers the things you want covered. So when you were working with a pendulum, in fact, when you're working with any divination tool, you want to ensure that you are completely protected. You're in the white light. You're in a bubble of white light protection, okay? You want to make sure that you are reaching, communicating with people of the highest light vibration you can access, all right? Do not use a pendulum the way you would use a Ouija board. And Ouija boards should be like banned, okay? They're very dangerous tools. So you don't want to use a pendulum the way, you don't want to create sort of like a Ouija board and then use the pendulum, okay? You want just it's not safe, okay? Because when you open up like that, you can attract all kinds of lower vibrational energies, and then it can be very difficult sometimes to get rid of this stuff or correct it. So you're always about being in the light, right? You're always about being protected. You're always about getting the information that is the most accurate from the highest source you can achieve. And one of the other things that you want to think about is you can use pendulums from the very serious to truly the mundane, okay? People will use them to help them figure out what outfit they should wear or whether they should have a banana or an orange for breakfast. People will use them for really serious things, right? Really serious concerns or considerations or questions. But one of the things that you want to do is you want to establish a sense of trust with your pendulum so that, if the pendulum doesn't feel as if it is being used as a parlor game, if the pendulum energetically likes the energy and vibration because it's being respected and honored for the divination tool it is, again, you're going to get a far better connection. And one of the things that you're going to want to look at is that you're not asking the same question over and over and over again. It's an interesting thing. Humans are funny. Very often, if we ask a question and get a negative answer, there's sort of this, well, what did I expect, right? Very often, though, when you ask these questions and you get a positive answer and perhaps you're not expecting one, that's when almost the crazy questioning starts. Oh, okay, well, if it told me yes once, well, 3 out of 5, right? I don't know, 7 out of 10, right? You don't want to do that. When you're using your pendulum, you need to stay in a little bit of trust and faith that you are connecting where you need to connect with, and that you are being mindful and respectful of the tool for its uses. So, will a pendulum lie to you? Yeah, it will. And again, depending on your connections, I had a really interesting example I'll share with you. Now, again, as I said, I use the pendulum to connect with higher energy vibrations and angels, okay? And my daughter had asked a question, and she wanted to know when she was going to get some information. And she was told it was a Friday. It was a Friday late morning, and she was told you will get your information basically at the beginning of the week. Okay. And she called me a couple of hours later and said she got the information, but so it was Friday afternoon. So did the pendulum lie? Well, yeah. But in this case, it just knew my daughter's personality well enough to say, yeah, you're absolutely going to get that information today. It would have sent her into a state of anxiety for the rest of the day, where this way, when she got the information, it came as a little bit of a surprise, and she was able to handle it. So sometimes, yes, sometimes you also cannot drill down that much. Sometimes the pendulum is not going to give you a date, hour, minute answer to something. Always remember, when you're using a pendulum, particularly if you're asking for things that involve other people, there is always free will. That is a component of it. So energetically, it could look like a certain thing is likely to happen. If it involves another person, they could choose for whatever reason to go a different way or do it at a different time, et cetera, et cetera. And that, of course, is going to adjust and shift the answers. I have also had it happen where if you are really, really emotionally involved or invested in the answer, you really can get that pendulum to move, to give you sort of the answer you're looking for. You know, any card reader will tell you it's impossible to read their own cards. Because there's just that thing of you can't really be objective. Now, pendulums are tools that are an intimate tool between a person and the tool, okay? But it's important when you're asking these questions to understand that potentially you really could shift the answer. Sometimes you phrase the question in a way that is too open-ended, or you try to get so detailed that instead of just getting a yes, no, by the time you're finished asking the question, you actually are looking for chapter, verse, and possibly a thesis on the topic. Okay, so you want to be very careful of your questioning. And very often what I like to do is I'll start with a broader question, like an umbrella question, and then I'll sort of drill down a little bit, right? So if I'm asking a question and I get a no, so then the next thing would be, is that likely to remain the answer for a while? Is it no because it's too early to make a decision? Is that no likely to be reversed, right? And the other thing you can do, speaking of these little chart things, one of the really cool ways you can use them is, on a scale of 1 to 10 or percentages. Very often, people will use that kind of a chart to just ensure that their pendulum is actually 100% accurate, that it's functioning at its highest vibrational level. You want to, even though you very often these things are made out of citrine, a quartz, that kind of thing. But you want to make sure that when they're not in use, two things. One, that you keep them close to some selenite. It's my personal favorite. Now, for those of you really familiar, you know that this is the pendulum that I will almost exclusively use when I'm doing pendulum work for you guys on the video. And this thing actually sits in its own little thing, and it's got selenite in there. When it's not in use, it just pops on there and it gets put away. And these ones, of course, get beautifully wrapped around the selenite. But even with that, certainly once a season, I like to get the crystals, out for a 24-hour period for, sun and moonlight, that kind of thing. So cleansing them every once in a while, even if they are not, even if they're a kind of crystal that doesn't need cleaning. But you know what? The metal energy attaches to the metals. So it's just a good habit to, kind of dust them off every once in a while. Typically, you don't want other people playing with your pendulum. You don't want them touching it. You don't want them grabbing it and asking their questions. If people are looking for you to use the pendulum to ask them questions, one of the things I like to do is I like to take the pendulum and lay it down in their hand for a moment and ask the question, and then move away from that energy and let the pendulum, give me an answer, right? When I am asking questions, specific, like personal questions, again, I tend to do the same thing. I'll hold it for a minute, and then I normally will keep it somewhere over my body. Now, you need to be careful, right? Because there's, of course, chakras everywhere. But, being mindful of that. But I think generally, generally that's how I connect. That's the other thing you can use them for. You can use pendulums to determine what direction your chakras are moving in, and what shape they're moving in. So I'm going to use this one. Okay, and we'll just show this. So, this is cool. I'll show you it this way. So pendulum, please show me the energy coming from my hand. Okay, so sorry. So you can see it's there we go. So it's now showing me the radius, if you will, of the chakra energy coming out of my hand, and the fact that it's moving in a circular fashion. I'm going to just activate my Reiki energy for any Reiki practitioners out there. You know what I'm doing. I'm just warming up my hands, okay? And now I'm going to say, pendulum, please show me the motion for the energy from my hands. Please show me how that energy is. What's it doing? Okay, so now it's moving in the right direction here. And you can see how much more powerful the energy sphere is around my hands once I've activated my Reiki energy. So that's cool, right? That's a cool thing. So if I had to give you any quick advice, I would say be very careful about how you phrase things and word things. You want to make sure you're looking for yes, no answers. And always just be mindful, be respectful, and have some fun. They really do become a part of you, a part of your energy, and you sort of, they learn how you communicate. And they can give you all kinds of insights. They really can. They can help you find answers that you seek. Okay, so that's kind of it for my little pendulum thing. Excuse all of the noise and interruptions, but hey, house getting settled, same old story. Okay, until next time, stand in your light, stand in your power. Bye for now.